I first started working in the Horn of Africa, in East Africa, in 2011 after a massive drought affected the whole region. About the same time, we started a scheme to build capacity of local staff from Kenya, from Ethiopia and Somalia, to train them on principles of humanitarian intervention and how to do the job effectively. It's a very difficult job, humanitarian response, let's make no mistake. And we need people with the right skills and the right commitment who can undertake that kind of work. The region is affected by droughts and conflict, both of which create refugees and IDPs. Those are people who are very, very vulnerable. They need immediate, timely assistance. We need professional staff who understand the context that those people are living in, who know what to do on the ground and who can get on and do the job effectively. And we need more and more of those people. So for me, one of the highlights of the scheme is seeing young people from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from the other countries in the region who really want to help. They want to make a difference to people affected by drought in their country or by other natural disasters. They want to learn the skills of the trade. They want to understand how to most effectively help people through the humanitarian system. And ultimately, it's fantastic. It's just so encouraging to see the commitment, the motivation, dedication of some of our trainees, some of our young people. They come into organizations like Save the Children. They're full of energy. They have a vision of their country and how they can help. So for me, to be able to help them, to help their own country and people affected by disasters has been very rewarding. We get very positive feedback. The main point of feedback I think that we have is that most people would like to see it bigger. Most people would like to see us building the capacity of more people. We need far more people coming through schemes like this, learning skills, learning how to do the job, and being able to support humanitarian work in this part of the world, which is very vulnerable to droughts and other diseases or disasters, natural disasters, and situations like refugee camps. So the main feedback we get is this is a great scheme. There needs to be more of it. We need more young people from Ethiopia and from other countries participating in the scheme. We need more young people coming in, learning the skills, being accredited and qualified, and going out into the sector to support humanitarian work. I'd just like to say a message to our trainees, everyone who's worked in the Ethiopia trainee program and beyond. I really encourage you. You've made a really good start. I hope that we've given you a good start through coming into the program. I know it's been difficult at times. That's a bit deliberate. We tried to make it difficult. You have to learn through being in difficult environments, in very, very challenging circumstances. It's the only way to learn, and now you have that experience under your belt. Go out there, prove to others what you can do, what you've survived yourself, and teach others the skills that you've learned. And good luck.
And I've been working in the humanitarian branch since around 2002 and seen some of the more challenging environments in Liberia, Somalia, Chechnya, Darfur, South Sudan, Pakistan, Afghanistan. So I've been around quite a bit. One of the things that I really look at in regards to this scheme is that when I started out, there was no such thing. There was no trainee scheme. There was no humanitarian academy. So I was really sort of dumped into the deep water and say, all right, well, do your best, which was really, really challenging. And I really had to learn by, making the mistakes, falling down and getting back up. And as a result of that, I think there would have been things that I could have done much better. At the same time, when I was interacting with, at that time, my peers here in the region, because I started out working in a refugee camp in Oruchinga in Uganda, I had to explain what I was doing and what the concept of humanitarian work was. So I'm really glad to see that today there's not that need anymore. There are so many young people that are engaging and that are really ready to step into that void and there are no more need for volunteers from overseas to come in because people are here and people are engaged. And I think that really the scheme really contributes to that. So that for me is such an added value, that we are creating the capacity and creating the drive here on the ground, and that young people are engaging. Obviously the needs are only growing bigger. What we can see here on the ground, and more we will see these needs. So that's very important. Okay. Obviously, we're, as Save the Children, we are dependent on our fellow colleagues and our fellow humanitarian agencies. And they range from local NGOs to INGOs to UN agencies to donors to the government of the various countries that we are working in. Starting people at a grassroots level and really showing them what it takes to be a humanitarian at a field level, working with a local NGO or an INGO, and understanding all the dynamics at that grassroots level really helps, because those people will eventually take on a career in the humanitarian branch and work with INGOs, work with the UN agencies, eventually work with the donor or the government, and they will remember what it was to be a humanitarian trainee in an INGO such as Save the Children. And they will be able to reflect on that when they are working with the various actors, creating that collaboration, because they know what it takes to be a humanitarian worker in different settings. Just to say that it's amazing to see these young people going through this scheme with so much energy and so much motivation. And if that's the future, if that's the potential that we have, then despite all the climate change and all the challenges that we are facing, I have faith in the future and we'll bring it.
The world we are living now is in such stressful and emergency situations. Everywhere there is a human need. There is someone calling for help. So being able to have the experience and the skills to reach those people is an amazing thing. And also the best thing that I'm proud of is I'm Ethiopian. So I was able to help other Ethiopians. Also, we are looking to come to Ethiopia to seek help, who saw Ethiopia as a land of where they can feel safe and secured. So I was part of that process. That made me feel good. So I see it as a stepping stone or a starting point for anyone who wants to pursue humanitarian work.
It was a very nice experience, very challenging, very informative and very educational. Starting from the online courses we took and how to develop proposals and how to write reports and everything in detail, including budgets, which I was never acquainted with. So it was a great experience in the academics part. And also the assignment was very challenging, but it was a good thing because it helps us to learn more. The practical experience was on the deployment when I was deployed in in Somali region and also in Gambella for some brief amount of time. So the whole experience, I can say, was something I'm glad I did, because it was a whole new experience for me in terms of personal experiences, professional experience, and in other whole dimensions. So I think it was a very great exposure. It's developing humanitarian professionals and having those trainees is a very great input to the sector, because, for example, our seniors or our line managers or seniors above that, they're in the humanitarian sector, but most of them, they did not get this formal education, or they didn't go through this process. But having this exposure, it will prepare your mind psychologically whether you want to be invested in this sector or whether you're doing it just for a job. Because what I've observed through this process is that we can, going through this process, we know what really the humanitarian sector demands from us and what we can add as a value. But for some of other seniors, although they're in the process, they might not be aware of the whole dimensions, and they might not have that psychological preparation as well as professional experience as we had. So I think it's a great opportunity.
My experience at the trainee scheme has been amazing, and it has helped me to develop both personally and professionally. Personally, I have acquired so many skills that a professional needs to acquire in his career, and also professionally, I was able to engage with a lot of departments. I was not only focusing on one thing. It was be it wash, be it health, be it gender or meal. I was multi-purposed, so it has helped me to develop both personally and professionally, and it has been an amazing experience.
During this humanitarian trainee scheme, I was hosted by one of the long-standing humanitarian agencies in Ethiopia, concerned worldwide. And the experience in the humanitarian trainee scheme was abundant, I can say, because the residential trainings in Kenya, the online sessions, classroom sessions, the assignments we're supposed to undertake, and the responsibilities and the tasks that we have been assigned in our organization was a lot, and it enabled us to get a lot of experience. In addition, in the second phase of the deployment period, I was able to go to different parts of Ethiopia, mainly in the northern part, where there was a huge emergency response when concern was scaling up from 12 waradas to 34 waradas, where there was a huge need in terms of the human resource as well as other resources. So through this time, with a blend of learning and experiences, I was developing in the humanitarian sector. I think I was well introduced to the humanitarian sector. I was able to understand what exactly is the humanitarian sector. And in addition to that, I was able to build some new skills, and I also improved in some others which I already had before. Especially the core humanitarian skills which we have been introduced at the beginning of the traineeship helped me to track my traineeship and the whole scheme. So it was really wonderful. It was wonderful because I've got experience, hands-on experience on the field where there were some difficult scenarios and real situations.
The scheme is making trainees aware of the humanitarian sector before, and giving them the opportunity to actually do a kind of internship before they actually join this kind of line of work. So I think it contributes to the humanitarian sector in general, because it guides and it gives the opportunity to those, especially for us who are an entry-level humanitarian workers. It gives us a glimpse of what we expect, what we should do, and to be aware of the core competencies to actually work in the humanitarian sector afterwards.
The trainee scheme was a really exhilarating and excellent experience for me. I wanted an entry-level experience and knowledge because I had no idea about the humanitarian world. Even if I graduated in human rights, I had no knowledge of it. So it was a good opportunity for me, and I was lucky enough to be in this program.
I believe that the trainee scheme was not only a professional traineeship, it also teaches you personal development. So both psychologically and professionally, it will help you to develop. So it's also a life-changing opportunity, because back at the AFC and AFT, we've learned many things you cannot get only on the professional area. So we need to have more of like this trainee schemes, and So it was a good one.
And from the start to the end, it was a really good experience with Save the Children, the learning forum, the trainings that we had in Kenya. It was very intensive and it was a learning experience. And also in the placement agency, we really had a good time. We helped people. We were able to impact people's life, and it was amazing. I will never forget our trainings in Kenya, starting from the Emergency Foundation course. The Emergency Foundation course is an experience I will never forget in my entire life. It has a huge impact on me, and besides the learning experience, besides the trainings that we had on the project management and other humanitarian operation components, it was also a good experience to be self-aware for me. I knew things about myself that I did not know about myself before. And also in the placement agency, we were given opportunities. We were given opportunities from the first day that we got there, and that was a really good experience. We were able to go to the field frequently and actively engage in the projects and with the lives of the beneficiaries. So the whole process was an amazing experience. Regarding the trainee scheme, I really would like to thank Save the Children and also the DFID for funding this program. It really had a huge impact in my life personally, not only for the humanitarian sector, but I was also able to know myself more about it.
In addition, it was interesting in terms of the people I met who had extensive experience in different corners of the world, in outstanding humanitarian situations in the world. So, and the other trainees I met in Ethiopia, Kenyans, and also from Bangladesh. So that makes it very interesting. In addition, while thinking of the responsibilities and the tasks I have handled and I have managed, that makes it very nice.
Thank you for the opportunity, Save the Children, Oxford Brooks, and Start Network. It was a great opportunity.
Yes, I would recommend others to the scheme because, as I've said before, it has a lot of values to your life. Like, it's not only just getting a formal education through the online courses and getting deployed, but it's like you develop yourself to another level in terms of working in a pressured environment. You go to another world, experience diversity, see what your country actually demands from you and what the country is really like, you know, because most of us, as I've said before, like we were in the cities and we think that 90% of the population or 90% of the picture of the country may appear like this for many of us, but that exposure, it really enlightens and it inspires you to contribute something to your country.
I would recommend this scheme in a heartbeat because for those people who want to help others and who want to do more to their life, this is a good entry point to the humanitarian sector. You know, when you do something, if you're not good at it, you might not be interested in pursuing it. But it's a school, you know. We learn from start. No, there was no judgment. We were allowed to make mistakes, and we learned from our mistakes, and we learned how to go about it. And we were practicing it. We were doing the project proposal writing as a pros because we knew we were even correcting our colleagues in the who were doing it, you know, they were doing it just because they know how to, and we were skilled. We knew how to do it professionally. So if a person wants to pursue humanitarian care, this is a good entry point, and they will also be able to challenge themselves and know themselves more and contribute to the world.
Definitely I recommend for others, but specific others. If you are interested in generally in the concept humanitarianism or being a humanitarian worker, first you should know what exactly is the humanitarian sector, because I used to say that I want to be a humanitarian, but I don't have the real meaning, and so it doesn't mean just helping someone or not. It means that there is a lot you are going to know about this sector, the challenges you may face, and how to be relevant and how to understand the need of the people, how to put yourself on those people's shoes on who were affected. So if you want to be a humanitarian, first you have to know what it is. Then the entry scheme will definitely help you for that. So I want to recommend this for the humanitarians. Yeah, definitely.
So I would say the trainee scheme has equipped me with the basic knowledge on the humanitarian field. In addition to this, the AFT training was it's very important in changing my life, because I was first a very stressful person, not confident in talking, but when I finished the AFT program, I was really able to manage my stress and started to speak out in public and everything. So it was really a good training that I took in Kenya, so I'm really happy and it's really good for me. So I have known myself. I know how much I can go and how much I can learn. So thank you for this.
The value of this humanitarian scheme to the humanitarian sector is a lot. In the trainee scheme, we learned about the humanitarian operation and how to go about it from start to the end. We learned project management, we learned proposal writing, monitoring and evaluation, and everything. So, and at a time like this, when the humanitarian need is very high in the world, to deliver skilled humanitarian practitioners is very important, and the scheme is giving that to the world. So I would say it has a huge impact to professionally deliver humanitarian assistance.
I was really happy that the Gambella field staffs were not treating me as a trainee, so they gave me all the responsibilities and roles. So I was like having daily activities every day, going to field frequently and reporting every daily tasks to the line managers. When I come to Dreidawa, it was a drought response. I was experiencing another things like distribution of non-food items in Dreidawa, which I didn't do it in Gambella. So I was really happy that I have this two experience, and thanking Save the Children for giving us this opportunity, like swapping to a different category where Save the Children is implementing their project.
The key highlights is, as all of the trainees, being placed at a very huge organization that has a lot of amount of contribution to the humanitarian world. Being a trainee there is challenging, but working with a lot of professionals, like wherever you go, in whichever department you are engaging with, there is always something to acquire, which adds on your professional development. So for me, that was the highlight, like whichever department I was engaging with, there was something for me which I could learn. So it was amazing. That was the highlight of the training scheme for me. Especially here in Ethiopia, you can see like when there is a drought and there is also a natural disaster, and there is a lot of humanitarian workers needed, but the need and what is here is not comparable. There is a lot more needed than this. So the training scheme has added a value to this need. So if it continues like this, I think it can also contribute more. But as it is right now, for example, if your background is health or if your background is engineering, you can also become a humanitarian. You can engage in the humanitarian sector. So this training scheme is adding a huge value to the humanitarian need. And also now, as you can see, our world is a lot of disasters are happening here and there. So the humanitarian professionals are needed more. The scheme is also contributing to that need. Of course, I would recommend the scheme to others because, as I said before, it will help you develop your professional. It will help you develop professionally, and also it will help you develop personally like the skills you used to have as a fresh graduate, and within 1 year you can see yourself changing, and also you can learn a lot from those professionals. So of course I can recommend this. It's a very huge opportunity.
If anyone is interested in joining and in building a lifetime humanitarian career, I think this would be the perfect opportunity.
Anyone who wants to be part of the humanitarian should join this trainee scheme. It's a very good opportunity and a place to learn all about the humanitarian within 1 year. I really thank the trainee scheme and Save the Children for letting us to explore different knowledge and experience from people and helping us to increase or develop in the humanitarian core competency, which I really, really appreciate it and make me know myself.
I really would like to thank Save the Children and also the DFID for funding this program. It really had a huge impact in my life.
Final ones is Save the Children. Thank you for making us be part of this training scheme, and also the team in Kenya. Congratulations and thank you. And thank you.
Yes, I would like to thank whoever contributed through the whole journey of the training, the trainees, my line managers, and specifically my coach from Kenya, Uchena Basi. I want to mention her name because she was instrumental in the whole process for me. She helped me to grow in this sector. And I also would like to thank Save the Children International and Concern Worldwide and those who funded this program. Yeah, because it is a real investment on those people who can make change, not only today, but starting from today to the whole time they may live or they may stay in the humanitarian sector. So I should thank them, and I would like to recommend them to keep doing this, because you'll see the outcome, not immediately, but definitely. So keep doing this. I would like to say that.